All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Talking a little Lakers basketball tonight. Got a couple things since what's today? Monday. Yesterday is when I recorded a quick little pod for YouTube. A couple things happened since. So you had LeBron's first. You had the All-Star game, which I spent 0.0% watching. Then you had LeBron James have his comments. He had some interesting comments I'm going to get into, some of his quotes about how it's the most important 23 games of his career in the regular season. Certainly have some thoughts on LeBron's viewpoint for the rest of the regular season for the Lake Show. And then Russell Westbrook is reportedly going to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. That just kind of seems odd, but pretty interesting at the same time. I mean, what if the Clippers went on a run and Russ is a part of a run with them? That'd be a little bit odd and weird. And the Lakers do play the Clippers one more game this year, so we'll spend a little time on that. I'm actually more just curious to get Lakers fans' thoughts on Russ joining the Clippers. That's just seems, I don't know, really interesting for me. So first things first, if you guys don't mind, if you're listening to this right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, would mean a lot if you spend 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel. It certainly would. I certainly would appreciate it. So we'll start things off with that, and let's get into a couple of these quotes from LeBron that I want to get into real quick. So LeBron, All-Star game was in Utah. First off, everybody who's upset that the All-Star game is not competitive enough, and they're upset that it's just these guys are not battling against each other and they're disrespecting the game and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what everybody's complaining about. It's been like this for 10 years now. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember a time I've ever watched an All-Star game in a long time where I've walked away saying, well, that was some good basketball. Can we just kind of taper our expectations? They clearly are not going to change it. And it's, an exhibition game. And I'm not here justifying anything for the players, but all this complaining, it's like, guys, it's the same thing every year. I don't know what we're complaining about. What's the definition of insanity? Hoping something is different, expecting a different result, but doing the same thing over and over again. Is that not the definition of the All-Star game? We want to see something different, but every year they tell us, guys, no, this is what we're going to do over the exhibition. Yeah, we want to see something different. Okay, got off topic here. So Braun had some quotes. And I'm going to kind of just break down each one of these quotes because I think there's a few of them that stand out to me that I find interesting. Let's start off with this first one. He says, it's 23 of the most important games of my career for a regular season. It's the type of mindset that I have, and I hope the guys will have coming back off the break. So I did a video yesterday, and I talked about it's the final push, right? Like, this is it for the Lakers. I've already kind of broke down for Laker fans the last time that the Lakers have had a real playoff game at Crypto, back in the day, Staples Center, where there was 20,000 fans. It was 10 years ago. And if the Lakers over these final 23 games, and there's circumstances, right? You had the COVID year, the next year, the Lakers make the playoffs, but it's limited capacity. So you really haven't had, and they went through a 6-year drought with no playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs last year. So add all that up. If they don't make the playoffs after these final 23 games, that's a 10-year drought of having a full Crypto.com arena. Braun saying that it's 23 of the most important games of my career for a regular season. So initially when I read that quote, I thought it was very dramatic. I'm like, LeBron, you're going to tell me these games are more important than when you were with the Cleveland Cavaliers before you joined the Miami Heat. You're going to tell me these games are more important than when you were in Miami and you hadn't won an NBA championship yet and all the pressure was on your back. You're going to tell me these games are more important than when you joined the Los Angeles Lakers and you were basically the savior for the Lake Show. Please, please help this franchise get back on track. So initially when I read the quote, I thought it was dramatic. And I kind of took a step back and I was like, all right, well, let's think about what he's really trying to say. Okay, well, in Cleveland, he was making the playoffs for the most part. In Miami, it wasn't a question of the regular season, how they were going to do in the regular season. The only thing that mattered was the postseason. So the more I think about it, I guess I understand where he's coming from. The mere fact that for regular season games, that has never really been a problem for LeBron. Making the playoffs has never really been a problem for LeBron until he joined the Lakers. Didn't make it the first year. The second year, they win the NBA championship in Orlando. The third year, they're knocked out in the first round. The fourth year, they don't make the playoffs. And now this is the fifth year of potentially not making the postseason. And he's at a stage in his career where you just don't know how many more cracks you're going to get at it, right? How many more opportunities are you going to get to swing the bat? And that's not guaranteed to LeBron James. It's not. And I know we could look at his stats and look what he's doing at age 38. There's real wear and tear on that body that you just don't know where the franchise is going or where LeBron personally is going to where he's going to get, obviously a lot more opportunities at making the postseason. He did explain, I'm going to read one more quote here, that, let's see, you said, I want to make a push to make the playoffs. I don't want to see myself not being a part of the postseason for 2 years straight. He talks about how there's a lot of conversation right now about the scoring record, things of that nature. But he says, I'm passionate about trying to make the postseason and giving ourselves a chance to compete for another Larry O'Brien trophy. Okay, a couple things I'm gonna layer there. The 2 straight years of not making the postseason and the whole conversation about people talking about the scoring record, he is right. That was a big conversation for, once you knew he was within 5 games of breaking the scoring record, 100% a lot of the attention was going to the scoring record. I will tell you firsthand, as somebody that is around whatever you want to call it, the pregame, the postgame show, around the team, or constantly having conversations with fans or just having conversations on radio, whatever the case is. I felt like I was juggling something that was a little bit weird. Bron was about to break the scoring record, the all-time scoring record, which was one of the greatest feats in the history of the NBA for an individual performance, an individual accolade. It really, really was. It will go down as one of the greatest individual feats in NBA history until somebody else potentially passes Bron. And maybe that's in 10 years, maybe that's in 50 years, maybe it doesn't happen. But with that being said, I got a lot of Laker fans saying, yeah, that's cool. We going to make the playoffs or no? Because what Laker fans are hoping for and what they're looking for on a night in, night out basis. And by the way, I fall right into the same category on this. It's like, no, this is cool. This is amazing. But we're going to beat the Thunder, right, when you get the record. Or we're going to beat the Portland Trailblazers, right? Or we're going to go down the list, the Pelicans. This was when they lost that game against the Pelicans in New Orleans, the final game of that 5-game road trip. I found myself like, hey, this is cool. This is awesome. This is an unbelievable individual achievement, and we should appreciate it and all that stuff. But we're going to win some games because Lakers are going to be in the playoffs, right? And I feel like there was a lot of Laker fans that kind of had a similar vibe. They were tipping their cap. They were showing respect to LeBron James. LeBron passing the scoring record was not a Laker record. That was somebody who started in Akron, Ohio, who was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who spent a lot of time there, then went to Miami, then went back to Cleveland, won a championship, then came to the Los Angeles Lakers. There's a lot that makes up those 38,000 plus points. It's not just him rocking the purple and gold. So the quote that he has there talking about the scoring record, that and he's trying to tell everybody like, hey, look, that's great and dandy, but I want to make the postseason. And the only point I'm trying to make is, well, every Laker fan agrees with you on that point. Cool. Scoring record was coming. Scoring record passed. We all have turned the page on that. Go make the postseason. He said another thing in there that I thought was interesting. Give ourselves a chance to compete for another Larry O'Brien trophy. So I've said this before in some of the podcasts I've done, or just some of the shows that I've done. I think for me, I can't even think past. There's like layers to how far my mind can operate right now with the Lakers. So when you say right now, if I said with the Lakers, all I'm thinking about is, can we just get into that top 10? Okay, can we just get into the freaking top 10? That's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm thinking about when the NBA standings, you go to ESPN.com, you go to the NBA standings, and then you go click. There's the Eastern Conference. They'll go first. They'll list out all the teams, and then you go down to the West, and there's a bar that determines the teams in the first 10. And the Lakers, I swear, have owned real estate below that bar for 11th, 12th, or 13th for the last couple of months. So I can't think past that. All I could think about is, can they get above that bar that has the top 10 teams that are going to be in a playing tournament? Okay, if you said, all right, we'll go a step further than that, then I would say, okay, can they get into number 8? At least number 8 gives you a chance to kind of a double elimination here. Even if you lost the first game, you could actually host a game after that at Crypto, and you got a chance to punch yourself a ticket. That's all that I could think of. I can't think of anything past that, and I'll tell you why I can't. And this is just going back to Braun's quote of the Larry O'Brien Trophy. I can't think past anything. That's the furthest that I could think, because I don't have really a reason to think past that. I've watched this team all season. I've seen them for the last year and a half. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They've sat in the 12th or 13th spot, it seems like all season long. Why would I think about anything past that? So for me, if they got to the 10th, then I'd start thinking about, can we get to the 8th? If they got in the playing tournament, then I'm thinking, how the hell do you just become one of those top 8 teams that are in the playoffs? If they became one of those top 8 teams in the playoffs, then I'm thinking, all right, how can you beat Denver in a 7-game set or beat Memphis in a 7-game set? You see how many layers there are before I could even think of anything past some of the stuff that I'm talking about right now. So when I see any quote that has the Larry O'Brien Trophy in it, I almost kind of laugh. And I get what Braun's saying. He says, I'm more passionate about trying to make the postseason, gives ourselves a chance to compete for another Larry O'Brien Trophy. What he's saying is, you can't compete for a championship without getting into the postseason. So let's just get in the postseason. But it seems so far out there right now that I can't even think that far. Here's the final quote that I want to break down from LeBron, and it might be the most important quote that I break down. He says, I hope I can figure out a way to just make sure that I'm available on the floor every single night for these 23 games to give us a chance. The most important thing for me right now is to maintain my health and to be available to my teammates after the break, because we have to make a strong push if we want to do anything special. So, that's probably everything right now, Laker fans. He Bron played in the first half of the All-Star game. And I only know that because I read about it, because I just didn't really have interest in watching the game, to be honest with you. That's not the highlights, but it just wasn't that appealing to me. And didn't play in the second half, appeared to, jammed his finger or something like that on the rim, trying to block a Siakam dunk or something along those lines. He missed 3 games right before the break, played in that last one against the Pelicans, which tells me that he is really dealing with some health issues. So I do think this final stretch, the biggest question is going to be, can LeBron play 20 of these final 23? Can he be there in that final stretch? Can the team maybe find a way to have some success if he's out for a couple of games? And that one's really, really hard to answer with a straight face and tell you, yeah, I think they can, because they just have not been able to since Bron. Anytime Bron is out, the Lakers have not had success, period. When AD's been out, they've played some 500 basketball this year. When Bron has been out, I feel like you could have AD out there, or back in the day, you could have Westbrook out there. It just didn't matter. Without LeBron James, you don't really have a legitimate chance of winning some of these games. So hopefully Bron can be healthy enough to go for the Lakers in this final 23-game stretch, and Hopefully, he's obviously a big reason to do with why the Lakers have success over the final 23 games. And hopefully, some of these new guys can carry the load if Bron needs to take a night off here or there because he is 38 years old and he is closing in on his 20th season in the NBA. Okay. Next topic I want to get into. Russell Westbrook plans to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. Russell Westbrook plans to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. At least that's according to Russ's agent, which is Jeff Schwartz of XL Sports, told ESPN. Woj put this out there. This was earlier today. So, Laker fans, I'm going to throw this out there for you. And I know Laker fans all have an opinion when it comes to Russ. They had an opinion for the last year and a half, so why would it change now? How do you feel about this? Do you care? Do you not care? Do you wish him the best? Do you hope he has success? Do you hope he's awful? I'm curious to kind of have an idea of what Laker fans think. I can kind of guess where I believe most Laker fans will be on this. And the only reason why I think I have a little bit of a pulse on it is because I probably feel the same way. I'm a Laker fan, so I think a lot of what you feel, I feel as well. So let me just say this. In the beginning, when this was all going down and the trade deadline was coming, I was just hoping and praying that the Lakers were going to trade Russ. It's nothing personal, but I saw a year and a half of Lakers basketball with Russell Westbrook, and it was clear. Him, LeBron, Anthony Davis, that is not a winning recipe. Let's freaking move on. The only question was, what's the draft compensation going to be like? Are you going to bring in players that can really help you? Are these players that you're going to bring in, can they also be assets for next season? And we didn't know if there was going to be a deal like that exists. The Lakers, obviously, Rob Pelinka made a deal, and I think a lot of Laker fans are excited about it. So I was just happy to see Russ go and see him move on. And I was happy because it was a selfish reason. I thought it was better for Lakers basketball. No other way to put it. Now, I had heard of some of these teams that were being rumored. There was the Bulls, the Wizards. I heard the Miami Heat. So there were some teams out there that were rumored about Russ coming in and obviously becoming getting bought out by the Utah Jazz and joining another team. My initial thoughts on the Clippers getting him. First off, I say to myself, damn, what if he goes there and has some success? What if, just what if, Laker fans? Listen, Clippers on paper, whether you like to admit it or not, they got a squad. Now, they're the most unpredictable, inconsistent team that I've seen in a long time. I got no idea when their stars are going to play. I have no idea if Kawhi's healthy, if he's not healthy. I got no idea if PG is going to, be a superstar or if he's going to choke in a critical moment in the playoffs. I have no idea. So they went out there, made a lot of trades right before the deadline, got Eric Gordon, who else they get? Bones Highland, Mason Plumlee, John Wall is gone, Reggie Jackson is gone, Luke Kennard is gone. So they have a need for a point guard spot. I personally don't see why the Clippers went out and got Russ. I'm not sure that Russell Westbrook, from watching him for the last year and a half, is going to walk into a situation and all of a sudden he's going to be a game changer. He's going to be the difference. But I also don't think they're bringing him in for that. I think they know they got so much depth and they got so many players that he might be able just to play a role on that team. Now, maybe it works out great. Maybe it has no impact at all, or maybe it's awful and it doesn't work out by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just weird to think of Russ and how much we were trying to drive him out of LA. Again, nothing personal, just that trade wasn't a good fit. Russ is still going to make his $47 million and that $207 million contract that he signed for it. The man will be okay. Were there times that things would go on while he was rocking the purple and gold that I didn't agree with? Absolutely. And there were also times where I was in defense of Russ because of the way people treated him or how they were disrespectful, whatever the case is. But I wanted to see Russ obviously out of a Laker uniform. This dude's going to be playing for the Clippers now. It's so weird. It's so weird. A year and a half with the Lakers, trying to, clearly every Laker fan wanted him to get traded, and now he's going to be playing with the Los Angeles Clippers. So, as you guys know, I could be pretty petty about the Clippers, and now I'll probably have to be, I have to probably take my pettiness game to another level. Yeah, I got to take it up a notch. Take it up a notch a little bit. Certainly will continue to root for the Clippers to lose. But what a kind of a fascinating storyline. And here's where the Clippers are. They're in fourth in the West. And I know, fourth place, you lose a couple games in a row and you can mean 10th. That's not an exaggeration. But I'm sure they kind of like their spot right now. 33-28. They're probably going to try to do everything they can to get in front of Sacramento. How about this? If the playoffs started today, Clippers, Suns, first round. Come on now. Clippers, Suns, first round. KD, Devin Booker, Chris Paul going up against Kawhi, Paul George, and the 38 other role players that they have on that team, because they really do. Pretty fascinating. It'd be pretty interesting. So we'll see how things kind of jockey in the Western Conference. I think we're all looking forward to an exciting Western Conference this final 23 games. But Russ goes from the Lakers to the Clippers. Laker fans, you could tell me how you feel about that. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. So I've actually been taking a little vacation here over the All-Star break, but anytime I find a good topic here that I could throw up on YouTube, I certainly try to take advantage of that. So I thought these last couple of topics were good enough to do that. But I'll be back in doing my regular radio shows on Wednesday. Wednesday night, I'll do Lakers talk. When I'm done Wednesday night, I'll throw that up here on YouTube. And then Thursday, Lakers back in action, taking on the Golden State Warriors. So we're getting closer and closer to having some actual reaction to real games again. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't mind, Laker fans. We'll get back with you guys soon. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day and enjoy your day tomorrow as well.